Tristan Tate, the second half of the most powerful brothers on this planet. After me and Andrew finished our podcast, Tristan turned up, and I wanted to use this opportunity to get a deep look into his life.
You evolve and grow into the man that I guess you see today.
I wanted to extract all the information and have Tristan share his knowledge and advice to all young men around the world.
No TV, don't play video games, limit your access to all sort of junk media, spend your time doing something productive.
And different kind of advice as well.
Me and the rest of the boys in here, the crew, want to know the secret.
I even wanted to go as far as putting Tristan on the spot.
Sell me a cigar.
No one's ever put me on the spot and told me to sell them anything.
Over the past year, you will know that Andrew and Tristan have been under deep surveillance in Romania, and I wanted to hear what Tristan had to say about it.
And this is illegal, by the way, so I'm confessing to a crime.
Throughout this 2-hour episode, I saw a side of Tristan that I hadn't seen online before up until now.
I am part of no movement apart from the Tate movement.
He kept it brutally honest and he kept it real.
Can't argue with results, and the way me and Andrew live has worked extremely well for us. It's worked extremely well for tens of thousands of young men who listen to me.
So sit back, light your cigars, and enjoy this episode of CEO Cast.
Tristan Tate, thank you very much for coming on the CEO Cast.
Glad to be here.
It was a pleasure speaking to your brother, and it's a pleasure to meet you today. I'm going to start off the podcast like this. Little bird tells me that you're not that good at Uno.
Is Andrew been talking nonsense?
He's been talking the most.
You know the worst
Saying
thing?
you're the worst at it.
I'll tell you the worst thing. I win consistently every single game.
Oh,
in
he
the
says
house.
otherwise.
Well, there are witnesses within this very room who could back me up, and I consistently win every single game. But I don't like playing. So every time he says play Uno, I say no. He says you're scared. Then I win. But every time I don't want to play, he says it's because I'm no good. So you know when you're just so good at something, you're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
That's mine and Andrew's Uno relationship.
So would you say Andrew's been lying when he came on here saying that, you lost all the time and
Yeah.
he's won every single bit?
And let me guess. He said he's never lost a game. When he was in jail, he fought for his freedom with Uno cards. Yeah?
Oh, it's like you were here in the podcast.
No,
That's exactly what
I
he said.
just know his lies
Yeah.
all too well. So no, I am the best at I think every single card game we play.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is.
This is going to be very, very interesting to speak to you because I gave this analogy to the boys earlier on. You two are brothers, and the way I see you is you both stand for the same ideologies, same ethos, same
Yes.
business mindset. He's more the savage one, and you're the gentleman, right? Even when you're meeting you here right now, you're here in a nice 12 grand suit, as you said, pulled up with security. Obviously, he drove here in the Ferrari. So the analogy I gave was, he's like the Batman, but you're like Bruce Wayne. So it's like two same people, but we've got the daytime version, we've got the nighttime version.
Yeah, if it were up to me, we'd be less famous for sure. We probably have fewer cars and fewer items that show off and show the fact that we're extremely successful. I'm a bit more low key than Andrew, but I love showing off as much as the next man. I think Andrew's just, when you have somebody like that who's on such an extreme level, I seem more modest and more calm by comparison. But I think people who get to know me notice that there's not really too much difference.
Too much difference, yeah. So what are the differences? Because in a usual podcast, I normally ask about, one childhood upbringing.
Yep.
Obviously, whereas Andrew's mentioned a lot of it in the previous podcast I've done with him, I want to know where it differs from you because obviously you being brothers, I can imagine you having the same or similar sort of childhood as in upbringing.
Well,
in Luton.
exactly the same. In fact, if anyone's seen your previous podcast, there's literally no point in me answering the question. Everything Andrew says about his childhood, everything Andrew says about the way he was brought up, obviously our dad's influence, our mother's influence, it's all copy and paste. Exactly the same, which is why you end up with two such similar people. There was a time many years ago when I was more well-known than Andrew, because I was kind of famous in Romania, and that was it. And me and Andrew were both relatively unknown worldwide. And people would accuse Andrew of, oh, you're trying to be like your brother. Now he's the famous one. People accuse me, oh, you're trying to be like your brother. The truth is, we're just both extremely similar, and we both have the influence from my father, who we're versions of to lesser or greater extents. So it's not that one brother's trying to be like the other one. It's just if you take two men and you raise them in exactly the same environment, they live in the same house their entire lives, they hang out with the same people, they have the same hobbies, they read the same books, they do the same things, you're going to end up with two men who are very similar.
Yeah,
I think
very similar
that's it, yeah.
Yeah. So where does your love for, I suppose, entrepreneurship and business stem from? Because obviously you and Andrew both run this empire together, this incredible empire.
Yes.
Andrew stated on the podcast we just done now that is pretty much over $1 billion valuation at the moment.
Yes, absolutely.
So where does it start for you?
My first ever business I started when I was 5 years old. So this is a story that I had largely forgotten until I started making some money when I was 24, 25. And my mother reminded me of this chapter in my life. I was 5 years old, obviously completely broke. I come from a low-income family. and I was gifted by my father's sister for my 5th birthday a small bubblegum machine, little plastic toy. You put bubble gums in the top, you put the American 1-penny piece in it, you turn it, and the bubble gum comes
Oh, you talk about like the snowball shaped ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a little plastic toy, very, very cheap. Probably cost my aunt no more than $1 or $2 at the time. And I realized very quickly that because the machine was not obviously very well made or properly engineered, the American 1-cent coin and the American 10-cent coin of roughly the same size pushed the mechanism down and made the gumball machine work. So I would walk around outside. I lived in this broke neighborhood, a bunch of really tiny houses and apartments cramped together. And all the local kids would come out and play. And I used to say to them, listen, look, if you want some bubblegum like me, this is the best bubblegum ever. Just go and get your mother's 10-cent coins from their purse, and then you can have the bubblegum. That's how the machine works.
This is America at the time, right?
This was America. So even at that age, a lot of the other kids didn't understand how much money was worth. They didn't understand the difference between the coins, and they were giving me these 10-cent coins. I used to stack them up and pile them up. And it was during this time I learned my first ever lesson in sales, because a kid came to me. Justin was his name. He had a twin brother. Shout out to Justin and Jeremy from Goshen, Indiana, if you are anywhere in this world. And he came up to me with a stack of 25-cent pieces. It must have been about $4 or $5 in money. And he said, my mother doesn't have the coin you're looking for. She only has these.
Give me all of that.
I kept a completely straight face. I said, listen, don't tell the other kids because you've got the wrong coin. But if you give me those, I'll open up the top and I'll give you 10 bubble gums. And he was like, oh, okay. And I got like $4 or $5 from him. And I think that's where my love of business and my love of money certainly started, because I used to stack up my little piles of coins and look at them. Every time I got bored, at least once a day, I'd stack them up, count them, and admire my little piles of coins like I was Scrooge McDuck on a brokey version. And my mother used to say to me, hey, Tristan, you've got like $25, $30 there. If you give me the coins, I'll give you the paper notes. I was like, no. Don't want the paper notes. I liked stacking up my coins. I liked looking at them.
It looks better as a kid.
It looked much, much better. And that was my first successful business I ever ran. That moved into...
Just a quick one on that. At 5 years old, did you understand that these coins that you were having, did you understand there was obviously money? Did you understand the value of it?
Yes, I understood. And I also knew that I could buy a bag this big of new bubble gums to refill the machine for just $1 at the dollar store. So that's 10 of those coins. So I had my profit and loss all worked out. I was ready. I was prepared. I knew the value of all these coins. A lot of the other kids didn't. And I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I was walking around the neighborhood with the bubble gum machine trying to hustle money out of the other kids. I do not know, because that wasn't very, let's say, ethical, I guess, because the other kids didn't know the value of money. But I was 5. What did I know? What did I care? You know, I was making a bunch of money. I think I bought myself a new bike from just that one bubblegum toy. So, you know, it was a very poor tool, so to speak, to start a business with. But at my age, it worked very well. And I guess
make do with what you got.
Yeah, and that was my first successful business. I guess I could continue until my second ever successful enterprise. I must have been 12 years old. I was living in the United Kingdom at the time, and I was in high school. And this is illegal, by the way, so I'm confessing to a crime. The only crime I've ever really committed. This is the only crime I'm guilty of. And when I was 12, 13 years old, obviously everyone was buying CDs, music CDs. So I had internet access at home. I told my mother to sign up for internet access. So me and a few other kids had internet access at our home computer. And I used to go into the town center with a pen and paper, write down all the songs on the various CDs, and I'd take orders at school. So I'd sell the CDs for £2.50 or £5. And, you know, it went from that to copying video games. I mean, Age of Empires 2 was a very popular one. I mean, I'm 35 now, so we're talking a very long time ago. Rome Total War, when I was about 15, was a popular one. I used to sell these CDs at school. Until one day, I was snitched on by a kid named Wackass, was his name, from Luton. So Wackass, if you're watching, you're a snitch. I hope you've got nowhere in life.
Had to be a Pakistani guy, didn't it?
No, it was a Pakistani guy.
No,
exactly. Well, you could tell from the name. So anyway, Wackass snitched on me, and my teachers found all these music CDs in school, and obviously you're not allowed to be selling things in school. And I was a very good student. I was the straight A student. All the teachers liked me. So they called my mother to the school. She didn't have a car, so she walked all the way to school for this meeting with my head of year. And we sat down, and she was like, Tristan's been selling these CDs. This is actually, you know, he shouldn't be doing this. It's illegal to be copying these music CDs and selling them at school. And as I was walking home, my mother looked at me and said, look, Tristan, you're going to have to stop now because your teachers have caught you. But I had no idea you were doing this. And to be honest, it's quite smart. That's where you got the money for the bike. That's where you got the money for the backpack and the clothes and the shoes. I was like, yeah, I'm just selling music CDs. So I guess that was my second ever successful enterprise. But thanks to I learned that lesson very early on. You know, don't, I guess, let untrustworthy people into your circle. You know, Whack-Ass saw how much money I was making, straight snitched on me.
I was
to
going to
the
say,
head
why
of
do you think he snitched on you? Because he realized how much money you're making.
I think that's why. I think it's because he realized how much money I was making.
It wasn't a case of like you had, you know, sold him a game, something, a copy one, and then it suddenly stopped working. And
No,
thought, you know,
all the games worked perfectly fine. I'd even get those weird codes you had to enter to stop copywriting. Yeah, you go on the Pirate Bay and find those little codes, and you know, you'd sell those with the CD. You write them on the front of the CD. Properly. Yeah, it was all good. It was all good. But Whack-Ass snitched on me, and that was, I confess, an illegal enterprise. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't get sued by the company in business or out of business that makes Age of Empires 2. But I probably sold maybe 10 illegal copies of it. But that was my first and only criminal enterprise. And I guess my second successful business enterprise.
You see, right now, as it stands, you have this aura about you that makes you stand out. From the way that you dress, the way you articulate yourself, the way you are. Was it like that back then as well? So when you had acquired this money at 12 years old, 5 years old, and your teenage years, was you always looking for ways where you could stand out amongst the crowd?
You know what? No, I didn't. Ever. I think it's a natural product. How old are you? You're younger than me.
27.
Yeah, you're younger than me. It's quite a lot younger than me. It's a natural progression if you follow the tenets that me and Andrew live by. Now we preach them, but before we preached them, we lived by them, of constant self-improvement. It gets to the point where you have companies that, as Andrew probably said, are upwards of $1 billion in valuation. You know, you're very smart. You've learned a lot. You've read a lot. You know a lot. You could speak very well. Over the course of years, all of my kickboxing training, I became the European kickboxing champion. I'm confident in the fact that I can protect myself and take care of myself. You evolve sort of and grow into the man that I guess you see today. It would be a very different interview when I was your age. I don't think I'd even made my first $1 million at 27. It was around about that time, maybe 6 months after, when I was just turned 28. So the confidence in the aura comes with time only if, and I'll stress this again, only if you do the work. Every single day, or at least 5, 6, 7 days a week, if you're constantly grinding, constantly trying to improve yourself, one day you'll wake up and everyone's like, wow, you're smart and well-spoken and you dress well and you've got a bunch of money, and you're like, well, it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, it wasn't always like this.
No. The 13-year-old kid selling CDs in school was not necessarily a standout character. I'd only just started kickboxing around that time. I was just a pretty normal-ish kid. I wasn't even that big for my size. I didn't start growing till I was like 17. So I was
massive now.
I was normal height when I was 17. Then I met all my old school friends again when I was like 19, 20, and I towered over everybody. So I don't know. I didn't really stand out in any particular way when I was at school, apart from the fact that I had a slight American accent. That was the only thing that made me stand out.
Those things you learned, what was the skill sets you learned from starting those businesses at a young age? And do you think they stuck with you even till today?
Guys, today's sponsors are here to help you enter the elite world of Forex trading. Come Learn Forex is the first accredited provider with exclusive trading floors globally. They offer in-person training, online training, in-house developed strategies and research, all crafted for those who seek financial dominance. Their mission is to teach and support traders using precise methods that focus on small losses and controlled risk to increase profit. Come Learn Forex has got offices based in London, Trump Tower in New York, Dubai, and are constantly expanding. So there are no limits regardless where you may be. If you guys have been following CEO Cast for a long time, then you'll know that Come Learn Forex is run by one of my best friends, Shoaib, and his incredible team. I've trained with them, I spent a whole load of time there, I know the setup, so I know I can vouch for them. There's a few different packages for you to choose from, so whether you're a beginner and you know nothing about Forex trading, or you're advanced and you know a lot, they can always help you. Check out the website in the description or on the screen right now and schedule a free consultation call worth £80 to see if they're a right fit for you.
I don't think I learned anything too important, to be honest. The main question I asked myself about those days and those little, let's call them hustles that I ran when I was a little kid, is why did I do it? I don't know why I did it. And the only explanation I can give in parallel to my life today is the same answer to the question, why don't I retire? I could retire, delete my presence from the internet. I have enough money to live for the rest of my life. Why don't I retire? Probably for the same reason I was selling bubblegums. I don't know exactly what the motivation was. I just felt I was good at it and I had to do it.
Why stop this?
Exactly, and why stop this? And now the business that I run isn't hustling people for bubble gums. It's a business that, I mean, my main business, the Real World, the online school we run, helps countless people. I mean, thousands of interviews I've done and posted them online of young people making insane amounts of money from just, using the program, learning the skills and applying them in the real world, no pun intended. So now I feel like my mission is greater than the business itself. So, no, I don't know what I learned back then. I learned lots of lessons working a bunch of crappy jobs, for sure.
Did you work jobs?
Oh, did I work jobs? Yeah, I worked loads
Well,
of
like
jobs.
retail jobs and stuff, yeah?
Oh, no, what, fast food jobs?
Okay,
Yeah.
fast food jobs, yeah?
I did 6 months in the McDonald's drive-thru. I worked 3 years in a pret-a-manger store in Luton Airport making sandwiches. So if you guys
Luton
ever...
Airport as well, that's a proper shithole.
If you ever...
Sorry.
Oh, terrible. No, you're completely right. So if you ever fly from Luton Airport, just before you get to the departure gates, the ones on the left
I know
anyway,
exactly what you're talking about,
there's a big pret-a-manger store. When that first opened, I was one of their first members of staff at 15 years of age. I worked there for 3 years making sandwiches. So I've done the horrible jobs and I've done the fast food jobs. And it's those jobs, the real selling your time for money hour by hour, that teaches you the value of things. Even now, I jokingly laugh with Andrew when I buy things. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'll calculate like how many hours would I have had to work in that job to buy, say, the Bugatti. And it's something crazy like 310 years of constantly working at that sandwich shop. No hours off,
310
no
freaking
days
years.
off. So we're talking at like 4 human lifetimes.
Did you have any side hustles whilst working those jobs?
You know what? No, I didn't, because my effort wasn't wasted, though. I didn't waste my time because all of my spare effort went into kickboxing and kickboxing training. There were people at that store who were breaking rules of the store. Obviously, when you're allowed to take sandwiches home, they were selling them and stuff, but that could get you fired. And I was like, well, why sell sandwiches? I'll just go to the kickboxing gym. I'm making enough money. So it wasn't a side hustle, but I certainly wasn't wasting my time. When I preach to young men now, if you're working a job and you go home, no TV, don't play video games, limit your access to all sort of junk media, spend your time doing something productive. At least my kickboxing was something productive, even though it did. I guess it made me some money. I got paid to fight. So I guess that was a side hustle, but I learned so much more from that than I ever made financially. It wasn't a financial venture.
This is what I'm interested to know, because at the point where you're now working for someone else in retail, fast food, whatever the case may be, and then previously also having businesses, it's like, did you ever think to yourself, why am I here? I had this business. If I continued at it or started another business, I could be elsewhere. Did you ever look at yourself in those jobs and think, like, this is not me, I don't belong here?
Yeah, I knew I was wasting my time. When I saw the caliber of some of the people doing the same job as me, some of them were very nice people, some of them were not, but I will not pull my punches when I'm saying that a lot of them were morons, like absolute morons. People in their 30s who just achieved literally nothing with their lives, zero. And I'm sitting there and I know that I've got this big brain behind my young looking face. I'm sitting there making these sandwiches along with these idiots thinking, how is my time worth the same £6.90 an hour as his time? How am I using my body and mind to make these bloody sandwiches when people like this could be doing it? I should be manager. I should be running this place. I got a few promotions over the years, but my dream was never to manage a sandwich shop. So no, I quit for a sales job when I was about 19 for my first ever sales job.
What was the sales job?
I was selling television advertising space.
Oh, okay.
So I would find companies that didn't advertise on TV typically, call them up and try to arrange meetings with higher up people in my company who could close them for me because I looked too young. That was my problem.
So it's like cold call sales.
Yeah, cold call sales, which teaches you a lot. You get hung up on a lot.
Yep.
And nowadays, I find with youngsters and people of the younger generation, they're too afraid to make a cold phone call. It's a daunting thing. You don't know what they're going to say, but you learn the lessons. The worst they can say to you is no. And at least with sales, you're in some way working for yourself. I learned lots of harsh lessons actually at the sandwich shop and at McDonald's. I learned lots and lots of very harsh lessons that I still, I guess, helped form my opinions that I still preach today. So I'm very glad I did it because it makes me, some people think I'm alienated from them. The man who's working in McDonald's right now, who may be listening to this podcast, may think, oh, why would I listen to him? He's worth over $1 billion.
Might not seem relatable.
Yeah, he hasn't got anything in common with me. But I was the common man. I was the normal man. Even today, I describe myself as a poor man with lots of money. I don't describe
Andrew
myself
says
as
the same, yeah.
I don't describe myself as a rich man because I'm not from their clubs. I didn't go to their universities. I'm not from their weird groups. I'm not in the
The
Illuminati.
money wasn't inherited.
No, absolutely not. So I made everything myself. So I'm glad I did those jobs. If I could turn back time till I was 15 years old, knowing everything I know now, at 15, I'd still work a year or two in McDonald's just to ground myself a bit more.
It's funny because though this podcast is all about business entrepreneurship and people going out their way to make their own businesses and, you know, create money for them own selves, I always recommend to people, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, to go and get a job in a specific place, something like Carphone Warehouse, where they learn the scale skills, they learn the customer service skills, they learn all these things that will transition into their business. Because I think in them places there's so much you can learn that you can't learn from starting a business at that age.
No, you're completely correct. And you also learn how to be a boss. I remember, I'll share with you a quick story from my prep days. So every single day there was a delivery of new goods. And it was heavy, like big, stacks of canned drinks. And, the ingredients would come in massive tubs of mayonnaise and stuff. It weighed quite a lot. And a gentleman I used to work with was a big Slovak guy by the name of Blaže. And the delivery was down a few flights of steps into the security office because it was the airport. Everything had to be run through the security scanners. And you used to have to put it in a lift, bring it up, and bring it into the kitchen. And every single night, delivery would call. And every single night, if you were working the night shift, you had to go and lift all this heavy stuff into the elevator. So one day, Blaže, I wasn't working, was working with two female members of staff on night shift. And the elevator broke. The elevator was broken. It happened in that airport. The elevator is probably 30 years old at the service entrance.
Yep.
And the manager, I guess, told him, well, the goods have to come upstairs. They have to be refrigerated. And Blaže, like a gentleman, I guess, and like an idiot, and I love him. He's still a friend. I still speak to him now. But back then, he certainly was an idiot. He was probably, 20 years old back then. He said, you know what, I'll carry it all up the stairs myself because there were two female members of staff working. So he goes downstairs, picks up these heavy, 24 cans times 2. You're picking up 48 cans of drink at a time, running up these stairs. Took him 5 hours to complete the delivery. And he slipped a disc in his back. And when he slipped a disc in his back, he called in sick the next day. He called in sick the day after. And the manager, who I believe's name was Linda at the time, he complained to her saying, look, can I get sick pay for this? Because, I was injured at work doing this. And she was like, no, you can't. And he was like, why? Because when you are, first of all, initiated into any kind of crappy job, they train you how to do things.
Yeah.
So I remember signing a piece of paper where they train you how to lift things up.
Yep.
Bend your knees, lift with your back. And
Back
she was like, no, Blaže, you signed this. So any lifting injuries you get are your own fault. He saved the day and saved the delivery and saved the entire inventory of stock. Tens of thousands of dollars, no doubt, worth of ingredients and drinks, etc., by carrying this all up 2 flights of steps by himself. Slipped a disc, and he was off work for maybe a month. They didn't pay him a single penny because he'd signed this stupid waiver saying, I know how to lift things. That's very different from what he was asked to do that night. And it just made me think, wow, big corporations don't actually care about you. They don't give a shit what happens to you. And it's what I tell people nowadays. That story resonates with me when I tell people, like, you're very dedicated to your job. Maybe you're a woman, you're very dedicated to your job. And you're thinking, I'm not going to have kids for the next 6 or 7 years because I'm going to fight for this promotion. If you die tomorrow, 99% of you listeners out there in normal jobs will be replaced in a week, and you'll be forgotten about in 2.
Yep.
Your presence will not be missed around the office. Your presence will not be missed in the kitchen or, on the food court or in the customer service
Furthermore,
area.
they probably won't even realize that you've disappeared.
Exactly. Yeah. If you disappeared and didn't tell them, they'd be like, oh, well, he's just quit out of nowhere. So, don't give yourselves and don't give your heart and soul to these companies because they have no heart and they have no soul. The business that I run, certainly the people who work for me, I don't even say work for me. I say work with me because they have skills that I don't. And if one of them was injured in the workplace or, I don't know, broke something that he owned that was company, I'm super cool about all of it. Because I don't get how you can rely on these people to keep the wheels turning, essentially, but then at the same time just throw them to the dogs when you need to.
Yeah.
So big corporations don't care about you. Shout out to Blaže if you're watching. But,
Shout out,
I'm
Blaže.
mentioning a bunch of people I used to know when I was a teenager.
I like it though because it kind of shows you that regardless of how wealthy you are now, where you got in your life, you haven't forgot the people who were with you from then. Whether you speak to them or not, but the fact that it amazes me that you remember their names because someone would assume that person of your wealth and your status would have flown past all these people, and it's like, oh, I don't remember who you are. Sorry, what's your name? You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you still know it shows that quite how humble you are.
In fact, he lives back in his home country now. 2 years ago, I was in Bratislava, and I had Instagram at the time before I got banned. I looked him up and went for beers with him. So,
Is it?
Yeah, and I'll still talk to everyone I used to know. I don't, and that's one, I guess, misconception about my brother and I. I don't think I'm better than everyone. I try to stay away from the public because the public now become very annoying. But people who I know and people who I've known for years, no, I've always got time for everyone I used to know.
The life you're living now with the wealth, that's like the new norm to you, right?
I'm trying not to let it feel normal, and I'm trying to stay humble, but it's very difficult to keep your mind switched on like it used to be 10 years ago in regards to the price of things. I don't know how much bread and milk are and various things like this, or when you spend money or when you buy a new car, the feeling of excitement isn't quite there like your first ever supercar. And I try my very best to think like the old Tristan. How would I feel at 19 if I had just booked this 140 grand private jet flight to Miami? How would I feel? But you can't. Yeah. You become slightly numb to it. Yeah. It is normal.
See, this is what I'm thinking, because when you're linking up with these people from your past days, does it make you think, yeah, man, I miss the brokey days. I miss the life where you don't have to really care so much about this or that, and you have those people around you, just hanging around them.
Well, the thing is, I still have those people around me. Most of my friends who I've known for 15, 20 years, and I still speak to the same people. I mean, Rory, a lot of you know. Marcel, a lot of you know if you watch any of my content online. I hang around with the same people I've known forever. So, no, I don't ever miss the brokey days, but speaking about them with my old friends makes me appreciate what I have now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So where did you go from there, Tristan?
From working at so we go from the sandwich shop to selling television commercials on the phone. Well, that business, there was a small venture where my brother and another senior salesman at that company decided to start their own venture selling TV advertising because the boss ran it very badly, to be honest with you. And I was working for them for a while, but that business ended up falling into nothing. I mean, we have my brother, he's probably 20 years old at the time.
Yep.
First ever business he's run. The other guy, probably 25, 26 at the time, but very irresponsible. And the business ended up collapsing and falling apart because television advertising died. I think that...
What year is this?
This is... So I must have been 21, so maybe 14 years ago. So 2010.
10, yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough, yeah.
So the problem was, I think, that would be an impossible business to run nowadays. To call people and try to convince them to spend 20, 30, 40 grand on to TV. Advertise on television.
Yeah, forget
They'd be like, well, I can get my niece to make a TikTok video and try and make it go viral.
Yep.
And the internet has killed television advertising. Only the biggest of the biggest companies now do it. So there's no more medium-sized companies aspiring to do it. So if you're thinking of selling TV advertising or starting that as a business, good luck to you. But I think today it would be very difficult. It started failing around 2010. I worked a myriad of various sales jobs, from selling windows to home improvements. I actually made a lot of money when conservatory insulation first kicked off. So conservatories are either too hot or too cold, and people were insulating the ceilings. And I worked for a company in Milton Keynes with a guy who actually my former boss used to know, the former television advertising boss used to know, named Andy. And he ran this ragtag outfit of random salespeople from all sorts of backgrounds to go around, knock on doors, cold call, anything you could do to drag clients in, any house with a conservatory. So I used to go out on rainy days or super hot sunny days or super cold days and leaflet houses in nice areas like Radlett, like Hitchin, like the areas close to Luton, where people had conservatories in their houses, and I'd follow up on the leads and stuff. And I was the top salesman at the company.
Selling white gold.
Yeah, and I was 22, 23, and I was making for myself well over £1,000 a week, which isn't bad, especially 10 years ago. Remember, £1,000 a week was
a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and that was my first taste of ever actually having money. And when I mean having money, it means, which is crazy because my threshold on having money is very low because I've been very broke. Having money at 23 meant to me that when I went to the supermarket, I could get anything I liked. That was wild.
Yeah, you have to think twice about it.
It's like, oh, pot noodles, yeah, I can afford these.
Yeah.
Oh, a jar of olives that cost £5 because they've got cheese in them. Okay, I can buy those. You could just buy whatever you liked from the supermarket.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing. And that was my conservatory insulation sales job. But I mean, I made very good money. And again, you learn a lot of very difficult lessons. You have the door slammed in your face. You have people answer the door with their dog barking at you. What do you want? And you're like, hello, sir. Well, I've noticed you have a conservatory, and you're trying to pitch them. It's very difficult. And I think the internet has killed that. I think that every single year for the last probably 100 years, up until 2010, salesmen got better and better and stronger, and the science was refined, and the science of sales was perfected. And I think now it's gotten worse. I feel like the younger generation aren't built to walk around in the rain and knock on doors and try to hustle money out of selling conservatory insulation or windows. Windows are hard to sell, bro. Everyone has windows.
Yeah.
Houses all have windows, and you have to knock on the door and convince him to get rid of his old ones
and put the new ones in.
buy
it's
new
funny
windows.
because there was a Netflix series called White Gold, which is why I said it's called White Gold, right? And it was all on the idea of these sales guys' comedy show selling PVC. But the fact that they're basically just trying to sell this PVC as much as possible, telling these people to get rid of their old one for no apparent reason to get the new one in.
That's exactly what I do.
Like, that's a product there where you have to just learn to sell it properly.
Yeah. And nowadays you have youngsters that are just like, oh, well, sales is hard. You know, I sent a bunch of cold emails. I didn't get a reply. Cold email is hard? You think copying and pasting and sending is hard?
Yeah, literally just
you
putting
don't
on
know
hold
what
on the
hard
email
is.
just-
Try dialing them on the phone.
Yeah.
You probably have a lot more success.
How did you do with negotiations? So not negotiations, rejections.
Rejections, I've always dealt with rejections very, very well. I was very pragmatic. When I got a no, I obviously store the number, store the lead, call them back next week just to see if it was a final no. I had a very organized system, and I think that's a key to Mindlander's success. We're very organized people. He's probably more organized than me. He calls me disorganized, even though I'm 10 times more organized than the normal person because he's slightly more organized.
Yeah.
So quite annoying. But yeah, I was extremely organized. I was extremely polite. I was very polite with rejections. And I've been polite with rejections in every single way my entire life, which is the best way to be. Woman rejects you, be polite. Sales customer rejects you, be polite. Be polite always. Manners gets you, very, very far. And a lot of the customers who then maybe change their minds called me back because I was such a pleasant, at the time, young man. And they liked me, and I built some rapport with them. So no, when you get rejected in anything in life, say you go for a job interview, and you get rejected, always behave like a gentleman and always behave amicably, because it will eventually, if you live long enough, backfire if you start treating rejection badly. So I've always been fine with rejection. Doesn't bother me.
At this point then, Andrew being 2 years older than you, where is he financially?
So at the time, broke is the answer. But short answer, broke. Long answer, he was actually making money kickboxing. I was kickboxing a bit, training a bit, fighting for 500-600 pounds a fight. He was actually making 3, 4, 5, 10 grand a fight. So he was making some. I call that broke, but
in the grand scheme of things,
looking back, it was broke. We still lived in a rented 2-bedroom apartment back then. But yeah, he was kickboxing. I was working the job. So if he didn't have any fights, because of my job, the rent was always paid. But then when he was winning fights, we could go on vacation and buy nicer things. So we've always, worked together and pooled our resources together. We've never thought of ourselves as separate entities.
Yeah, fair. So would you say you still have the sales? You would. 1 second, sorry, my voice cracked.
You need a cigar. It helps the
gonna
words flow smoother.
I'm gonna get to this. Watch.
Works for me.
I'm gonna get to this. Would you say you still have the sales skills in you?
100%.
Yeah.
If I went broke tomorrow, the problem is because I'm famous, the Tate brand in and of itself is worth so much. I couldn't go broke. If I went broke, I could make the money back somehow.
Yeah.
But I could start selling cigars or ties or something. Yeah.
So if I told you right now, sell me this cigar, putting you on the spot.
You're putting me on the spot to sell you this cigar.
Yep.
Okay, what's your experience with cigars? Do you like cigars?
Sometimes they can get to my throat a bit and then end up coughing or something like that.
Well, that's your problem. That's because you've been buying the lower quality cigars. What's your typical budget when you purchase each stick?
I think the most I've spent on a cigar is probably about £200.
See, well, that's your problem right there, because this cigar actually costs $350 per cigar, and the way that the tobacco is aged before they roll it is the key. The smoothness of the cigar comes not when you make it, not when you roll it, not when you put the label on it, but it's the process after picking the tobacco to drying it, flavoring it, spicing it, and aging it. And that's where the smoothness comes in, like a fine whiskey or a fine cognac. So what you need to do is smoke fewer cigars per week. Don't go for 3 or 4 at $100, $200 each. Just treat yourself every Friday night to one of these. This is truly exceptional. The coughing will stop. The smoothness will be there. You'll notice a greater enjoyment from your cigar experience than you've ever enjoyed before. It's $350. Do you want this?
I don't know, Tristan. $350 seems a bit out of my budget, man.
Well, you know what? If you can't afford it, that's perfectly fine because I have customers who can. And things like this, they don't stay on the market for very long. So this is definitely going to go if I put it in the humidor at the cigar store. So if you don't want to buy it, it's no problem for me. And you could stick to what you have and keep coughing.
Gears have got me right there. Light the cigar up. I just want to, while you lit your cigar, I just want to talk about that quickly as well, right? That cigar, that lighter you got right there.
Yes.
Talk to me about it because we'll talk about it off camera and I was like, nah, this is crazy.
This is an ST DuPont roulette complication lighter. Cost me $55,000. It's one of the jewels of my lighter collection.
I think I just made a full mess of that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, and you cut it badly, but it's okay. It's all right.
We're trying.
You cut it. See, your inexperience is showing just
inexperience,
there.
Yeah, we're
no
inexperienced with this one, yeah.
So this has a roulette complication in it. It's got rubies. It's made by Tissot, the watch manufacturer, the mechanism inside. It's made out of white gold.
Yep.
And has a flame to light your cigars with. So now, ask me to sell you this lighter.
Go on.
Not worth it. Can't do it.
Really?
Nope. Be super rich and be super extravagant, and maybe you'll buy it because you're insane like me, but there's no way I could convince you to buy this lighter.
But why would you justify spending that much money on a lighter? I get that you smoke cigars and you like cigars.
Yeah.
But smoking that much money on it is insane.
Roll the top towards you.
Oh, towards me, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Why would I buy that lighter? Because I like it. You know, when I was young and poor, I'm going to explain this. When I was young and poor, I used to see people buy very expensive things. And I would think of all the things I could buy instead. You have to keep it in your mouth while you light it. And there we go, until the whole end is glowing red. Smoother than your other cigars, right? There we go. You know what? This one's on the house. I'm not going to charge you $350. No problem.
Close it?
Yep, just close it. So lighters like this, I mean, I used to see rich people buy things like that. And if I was broke, if I was 19 and you were to put me in front of a person who bought a $55,000 lighter, I'd be like, oh, $55,000, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'd upgrade my car, I'd buy a new bed, I'd rent a bigger apartment, I'd do all these things with 55 grand. That's a waste. What should I have done with the money instead? Me. I already run a massive charity. I already give loads away. I already feed kids all over the world. I already have everything I want. Why not have that lighter? It becomes a matter of why not. You know, why would you buy a Zippo for $50 as opposed to a 50-cent lighter for its plastic? It does the same thing. Why? It looks slightly cooler. Does it do anything different? No. It's harder to fill up. It's more hassle. You'd be more annoyed if you lost it. Well, that's that. However, to me, $55,000 is probably very similar to $50 to a lot of people out there who own the Zippos. So it's no different.
You know, as compared to a watch, yeah, would you say this is almost like a great conversation starter? If you're in a club or something like that with another entrepreneur on the same level of wealth, he asks for a lighter and he picks this up and he's like, yo.
It can be with the right people. And it's not necessarily the way it looks, it's the way it sounds. If you're in a cigar lounge and you hear that ping.
Yeah. That just sounds like money.
You know it's a DuPont.
Yeah.
You know it's from this brand. And these lighters, I mean, even this brand start at around $2,000 or $3,000. But I'll be there in a high-end restaurant in, let's say, Vienna, where, you know, on a roof terrace, smoking's loud, and I'll hear from the other side, I'll be like, someone's lighting a cigar with a DuPont. Yeah. Who is that guy? So the sound is actually a status symbol if you're a cigar smoker and you know that. But no, nothing can really justify buying it apart from the fact that $55,000 to me is the same as $50 to most people. So why not have a nice lighter that I like? Yeah, I like it. I think it's beautiful. It's a work of art.
Yes.
Why not have it?
All right. I like the sales pitch though. It worked, didn't it?
Did it work?
Yeah, it definitely worked.
The cigar was smoother as well.
The cigar was smoother as well.
Told you it was.
It's just unfortunate I got a sore throat, so I can't even barely speak properly.
No one's ever put me on the spot and told me to sell them anything. But
there we go.
I mean,
there's a first for everything.
Jesus, but I've still got the skills there. You could tell I've worked in sales for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, and in the end, move is called the takeaway. Well, it's no problem. You know, I don't need to sell this.
So when did you start your next business as a, whether it be a teenager or someone in your 20s? What was the next business that you started for yourself?
The next business. So this is actually a very controversial topic. It's a very controversial topic because some people on Twitter think it's linked to this stupid matrix attack that's going on in my life right now, but it's not at all. But I used to run a completely legal streaming studio. So there are studios like this all over the world, either Twitch, Kick, there are naked ones, non-naked ones where people broadcast via streaming from certain studio centers. Yep. So I ran something like this, which had a bunch of models on it. Some of them were sitting around in bikinis, some of them got more naked. I won't pretend that it's not what it is, you know. But that business started when I was around 23, 3 and a bit, and I sold it on. I was done with the industry by the time I was 28. Very, very tricky business to run. It's more about your people skills and managing groups of people, making sure everyone's happy, making sure everyone's making enough money, making sure there's no jealousy between streamers, etc. But it's not something that I go into too much on this podcast because genuinely I don't find it very interesting. At the time I was running, I had some small arcade casinos, I had a few other things going on. Andrew was still fighting, of course. But it's something that I did for a number of years. And now I've been hit with this stupid Matrix attack. And I'll reiterate this once again, as I have done on many other podcasts. People say, ha, 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 he used to run a streaming studio. Were those people human trafficked? It has nothing to do with this stupid Matrix attack they hit me with. The allegations against me in this attack are that in the last 3 years, so way after I've already been done with this, I was somehow convincing my friends to make TikTok videos so I could steal the money. That's the evidence. Not the charges. The charges are serious. Human trafficking, that's a very serious sounding charge. But the evidence and the story the prosecution is trying to paint is that I somehow helped my friends to make money on TikTok so I can steal it. That's what I'm actually accused of.
The business that they brought up with the whole Matrix tax thing, why would you say it's not interesting?
It's not very interesting because running a webcam studio is not an interesting job. You're sitting staring at spreadsheets all day and numbers. It's not a very interesting job, and it's not a very interesting business. It's the business of, and I'll say, as a Christian now, and Andrew's obviously reverted to Islam, it's not a business I would run now. But you have to understand, I'm a young man in my 20s. I'm 23. I see it's a way of making money. The people who worked for me were very, very happy. They've actually all been interviewed by the police, and they've said, get lost. I worked for Tristan. He paid me very well. But the people who worked for me were all very happy. I was very happy. It made a lot of money, but I don't think it's a very interesting business in the same way the gumball business isn't interesting. The gumball business is interesting because I was 5, but essentially I was selling gumballs for exorbitant amounts of money to people who didn't know the value of money. Now, with any kind of streaming, you've seen these people on TikTok. Ice cream so good. You've seen these people, yes?
Yeah, these NPC ones,
What are they selling, and why on earth are people buying it? The truth is, even though I ran a business very similar to that setup, I don't know why my customers were paying. I don't understand what would motivate someone to buy virtual ice cream for a girl on TikTok saying the ice cream tastes good. I don't get it. So I can't really dive too much into that, apart from the fact that, a lot of men are lonely, a lot of men have no access to women. And the message I try to purport now in my messaging and in my motivational speeches to youngsters is don't be that kind of guy. Be the kind of guy who's classy, respectful, wealthy, fit, strong, and you're never going to be buying digital ice cream for a girl on TikTok to lick the screen. That's never going to happen to you. So I steer people away from that. And I'm actually very proud of myself. And the message that I've learned from running that streaming studio is essentially this. People attack me for it today. They attack 35-year-old Christian, father Tristan Tate for running a webcam studio, but they don't realize that it was actually 23-year-old kickboxing street kid from Luton. It's a different man who was running this business. But what I would say is I would never, ever turn back time and not run that business because male loneliness, male depression, the fact that men have no access to women, how sad it makes them, all of these things that me and Andrew know, I certainly know from running that business. I was more involved in it than Andrew ever was. And essentially, in the world, if I were, which I think is quite tragic, if I were a former gang member and drug dealer, and I was giving speeches about, listen, kids, don't take drugs, everyone would be like, okay, let's listen to this guy, because he sold drugs. If I was an ex-drug addict and I said, kids, don't take drugs, they say, let's listen to this guy, good for him, ex-drug addict, turned his life around. I ran a perfectly legal streaming business for a number of years. And now when I tell people, hey guys, don't watch porn, don't watch adult content, don't give money to streaming girls on the internet, don't tip girls on Twitch for playing video games, people will be like, you're a hypocrite, you used to run a business like that. I'm like, yes, I know.
That's why I'm telling you.
That's why I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But it gives me the authority, but people dismiss it flippantly and be like, whoa, that's hypocritical. No, it's not. I think I speak from a position of authority much more than any imam or priest who will say, hey, don't watch girls on the internet and tip streaming girls money. Because I know more than they do what the true nature of the business is like. I have more authority than anybody. But, people try to use it as they try to use it as a weapon against me, and I simply don't care. I simply don't care. And people tried to say that me and Andrew are part of certain movements. I am part of no movement apart from the Tate movement. I may not be right, I may not be wrong, but you can't argue with results, and the way me and Andrew live has worked extremely well for us. It's worked extremely well for tens of thousands of young men who listen to me, who've bettered themselves business-wise, physically, because of mine and Andrew's teachings. I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but when people try to put me into certain groups, Tristan Tate is a conservative broadcaster because I hold a lot of conservative values. Other people in the conservative space will be like, hey, he's not one of us because he used to run this business where girls got their tits out. And I'm like, I don't want to be part of your little weird club. I never said I was a conservative influencer. You've labeled me that, and then you've said I'm not. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks because I don't put myself into any of these boxes. Red pill, conservative, entrepreneur, but I guess you could call my messaging motivational if you find motivation from it. But some people don't. Some people find the way me and Andrew construct our messaging very annoying, very irritating. I don't motivate some people, and I say, listen, you're fat and you're broke. Do something about it. Some fat broke people think, okay, great. Wow, he's right. And some fat broke people think he's mean and turn me off. So maybe I'm not motivational. I don't put myself in any category. So I won't be told what I am and what I'm not from people who do not know me. It's as simple as that.
You mentioned something earlier on, about people going on TikTok live saying, ice cream's so nice.
Yeah.
And that's the day and age we're living in now, right?
Uh-huh.
So we've gone from a time where people like yourself are going from a time of hustling in McDonald's, preference manager, or selling PVC, selling windows, to now people making money on TikTok by doing stupid shit.
Yes.
What's your opinion on today's generation and how they make their money?
Loads of people, look, every single tool throughout human history that can be developed can be used positively or negatively. Right now, it's the big argument about AI. Oh, is AI going to take over the world? Is it going to control the weapons and the tanks in the future? But obviously, there are massive, massive positive implications of AI, self-driving cars and things like that. But you could go back to the Bronze Age and say, hey, let's stay in the Stone Age, because if you make bronze swords, someone's going to get hurt. And you could halt human, I guess, intellectual evolution, let's call it, by stomping down on ideas. Now the internet is around. A lot of people are using it to do amazing things. Even if you look at Elon Musk purchasing the X platform and letting people speak freely, letting the news regulate itself more so than it was before. Maybe not 100%, but certainly more so than it was before. He's doing great things. And then you see people eating imaginary ice cream and buying girls imaginary ice cream on the internet, and you're like, well, this is stupid. I think that whatever tool you give somebody, it's down to them, and I guess the forces around them, to make the most positive use out of it. I feel like the internet is so incredibly powerful. You're making money using the internet right now.
Yeah.
So there are young men like you, 27 years old, using the tool of the internet and actually putting out content that benefits people, that people learn from. Maybe you're learning yourself as you grow and as you speak to people like myself and like my brother and all the people you interview. And you're using it as a massive tool to grow yourself, grow your income, grow your influence. And that's beautiful. You could use exactly the same Wi-Fi network to buy imaginary ice cream if you liked, but that's your choice. It's all about what you do with the tool that you're given. You can give some kids, some 5-year-old kids, a gumball machine, and they'll sit there and chew bubblegum till their teeth fall out. And you can give me a gumball machine, and I'll start a small business and make $50. So
I saw. I think it was either you or Andrew tweeted this about the woman who goes on live and acts like an NPC.
Yes.
She makes $7 or $8 grand a day.
Yes.
So I think the way one of you guys put it on Twitter,
she did nothing wrong.
She did nothing wrong.
That's what I said.
And you're letting this person beat you in life. Basically.
Exactly.
A person who's going on TikTok live, acting like emojis, is beating you in life.
Yes, 100%. And Andrew said that. My main point was, why is everyone hating on her? I can't remember her name. I wouldn't say it if I did remember, but I can't remember their names. There were two main girls I posted photos of. One of them retweeted it, but again, the names slipped my mind. And I said, this is a capitalist consumer society. If they want to lick imaginary ice cream and bounce around on the screen like this, they should be earning zero. But the fact that they are making 5-10 grand a day, why are we mad at them? I'd be mad at my son if I caught him buying imaginary ice cream. I'd probably give him a black eye for sure. I'd knock him out. What the fuck are you doing? But I don't think the model herself is doing anything immoral or anything wrong. She's not even naked. She's just literally bouncing up and down, pretending to eat imaginary ice cream. But yeah, the fact that something so stupid can make so much money, obviously women are blessed with the gift that men want to throw money at them, and they use the internet to propagate that. I would say, as a young person, if you're wasting your time on the internet playing video games or watching nonsense streamers or clowns or people who have nothing to teach you, then yeah, you need to find a better use for the internet, because there are girls that, neither of them were even hot, by the way. They were both like 5s. One was a 6, one was a 5. I can't remember their faces exactly, but yeah, how on earth are you letting these people make 20 grand a month from the internet and you're still happy with zero? I don't get it.
It don't make no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How can you watch that and understand the money that's being made and you still be happy making zero money using the greatest communication tool that's ever been developed in human history?
Yep.
I don't understand it.
I don't know. Tristan, I want to come to this point in the podcast just to understand lifestyle and what you spend your money on. So you're making all this money. As Andrew said, $1 billion. What do you actually do with it? What's your spending habits like?
We spend a lot of money on cars. And that's more because of Andrew than me. If it were up to me, we'd have about 8 to 10 cars. I don't know what number Andrew told you. I think it's upwards of 51, 52 now.
Yep.
I don't know what he's been ordering lately. So he may have said a higher number.
He said yesterday he bought an Aston Martin.
Yes.
And I think he also said he also ordered the new Revuelto Lamborghini as well.
Yeah, no, okay, fine. So that puts us, 54, 55? Anyway, I don't know. But it's a lot of money that we spend on cars. When you get to a certain level, there are things, you run out of things to spend money on. I'm not going to say where I have real estate, but real estate would be a good purchase if I had any money, wink, wink. Of course, all my real estate in Romania has been taken. But real estate is an incredible investment. I like historic buildings. I like antiques. I like art. I like suits. I buy books that cost a lot of money. I buy first edition books from the 1800s.
What sort of books?
I mean, just really great novels, but the first ever printing of a book costs a lot of money. And the good thing about books is none of them are here in case the Romanian police are listening, of course. But the good thing about books is someone will come in your house, someone who doesn't know exactly what they're looking at. In fact, 99.9% of people will come into your house and see a bookshelf. And one book's £5, that book's £10, they're just old leather books. One of them's 140 grand. No one knows that store of wealth is there. So even things like these cigarette lighters. The police, when they raid your house, don't steal your cigarette lighter.
But they don't think
They don't know
that's
what
going to be
cost.
55 grand.
No, they'll take this watch, and this watch is cheaper than that lighter.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about antique books, antique furniture, things like that, is they're a really cool store of wealth that never loses you money, and nobody knows what they're worth. So people will just walk past them. But then when you do meet that guy who sees your piano, for example, you've just purchased, and like, oh, that's a 1892 Erard piano. You're like, okay, this guy's my kind of guy, you know? So I don't have a piano at my house, but I am buying all these things. I also spend lots of money on clothes. I have my wardrobe is upwards of £500,000.
£500,000.
£500,000, absolutely.
Bro.
In suits and
Yeah,
shoes.
I mean, to be fair, you're tailored, like the way your clothes fit and everything like that, it's 10-10 anyway. And you go to London for your suits as well, or used to anyway.
I go. Well, they come to me.
They
But
come to you.
obviously, I'm one of their best customers. I'm not gonna say the name of the tailor here because I don't need people copying me and like lengthening the wait times.
But I don't know if they could afford to copy you.
Even if someone could afford it, yeah. But did you see recently I think it was the Indian Prime Minister had a blue suit on, and when you zoomed into the little yellow stripes, it was actually 24 karat gold with his name.
Is it?
Like that, yeah. Look it up, anyone at home. Anyway, I've just ordered a 3-piece suit in that. That cost me upwards of 50.
What? With like your name there as well?
Yeah, it's gold stripes.
Yep.
That from a distance looks like a navy blue suit with gold stripes. When
Yeah.
you zoom in, the 24 karat gold woven into the material will read Tristan Tate, Tristan Tate, Tristan Tate.
Yeah, it's sick.
So there's I bought one that cost me over 50 grand for that suit. That's on order. Yeah, I have lots of nice clothes. So if you think £500,000, 10 suits like that would be £500,000. It's well over that. I spend lots of money on clothes.
Is there anything that you can't buy? Is there anything you think to yourself, you know what, me and Andrew need to work harder so we can get that? I'll give you an example. There was a video that went viral recently where Jeff Bezos, he has a $500 million mega yacht, but then as his security yacht is another $100 million yacht.
Yes.
Now, arguably,
I can't afford that.
so, but does it get to a point where you think, okay, I want that, so I need to get that?
No, because I don't, and this sounds like cope. And when lots of people speak this way, they're just coping for things they'll never have. And I'll make the position perfectly clear right now. If I wanted something I couldn't afford, I would tell you. That's the kind of person I am. I like renting yachts. I like renting private jets. I don't want to buy a plane. We had one for 6 months. I'm not sure if Andrew told you the story.
I think on the last podcast, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so we did have a plane for a short time, but I don't want to buy a private plane. I don't want to buy a yacht. I don't like the ocean, don't like sailing. I'll rent one for a week. It might cost $400,000 for the week to rent it, but I can afford that. I don't want a yacht. Now, if I were to buy one, I could buy a $50, $60, $70 million yacht. Like I could buy a really
Nice
impressive boat.
Yeah.
Don't want one. So now I'm at the point where the only things I can't afford are some of the world's most expensive houses. I mean, there are houses in California, 300, 400 million. I haven't got that much liquid. I can't buy those houses. But I can buy the exact houses I like, all the cars I want, all the clothes I want, all the suits I want. And more importantly, I can take care of my mother. I can take care of everybody who I love. My mother flies on private jets now. She doesn't fly economy or even business or first anymore. And, you know, me and Andrew can run our charity. We can help out the world as much as, I guess, two people can. There's nothing that I now look forward to and think, one day I'll be rich enough for that, because I'm currently rich enough for everything that I want. And if I wanted a boat, I would admit it. I don't want to own a boat, ever.
you know, the public know you and Andrew for flying on private jets. But can you remember the first time you went out of economy to maybe business or
Yes.
first or whatever it was? Tell me that story.
I remember it. So the first time I ever flew business class I was probably 25 or 24, around that time. And I was flying to Thailand. And the first time I ever flew business class, and this is a lesson about appreciating things that you lose over time, when I was saying I'm trying to stay grounded, I'm trying to stay humble. Now, business class, which airline was it? I think it may have been Aeroflot, the Russian airline. Amazing business class experience. Obviously, you get the lay flat bed, all the room you want, the food is amazing. And on Aeroflot, all the air hostesses are really good looking as well, which is an added bonus.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was flying to Bangkok from London, and I got on the plane. It was amazing. Glass of champagne, ate a bit of food. After 45 minutes, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Let me try the lay flat bed. And I put the bed on lay flat, and I blinked, and I was in Bangkok. And I thought, I just spent
time travel.
I spent $3 and a bit grand to sleep. That's a waste of time. So then what happened is, for the next 4 or 5 years after that, every time I flew business or every time I flew first, I would never sleep, just out of principle. I'll try and drink all your whiskey, eat all your food, eat all your caviar, you know, take the showers, go to the bar.
All of it.
Just let me just enjoy it to its absolute fullest. And that was, I guess, my period of maximum appreciation for the experience of not being in economy. Plus, I'm big. I had to get rich. Flying in economy is painful. I'm 6'4". I'm just over 6'4". It's bad. So nowadays, if I fly business or first, because there are some journeys, if I'm flying by myself to the United States, you need a massive jet to fly transatlantic.
Yep.
It makes more sense to fly first class, and I like first class. Nowadays, I will go to sleep though, because I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So,
We've gone past that point.
so I've
Yeah.
had the fun of the private jets in the first class. Now it's just how I travel. And private jets are so convenient because of the airport check-in process and the landing process. It all takes 10 minutes as opposed to 3 hours. But now I will go to sleep. I won't try to drink all the gin just out of some weird principle. So yeah, I feel like I'm now numb to it.
So you brothers used to own a private jet. What's the story with that? And why have you not got it anymore?
Very short story. Andrew bought a plane. We didn't need a plane, and we like driving everywhere. So our plane was in Romania. We drive from Romania to Spain over the course of 3 or 4 days in our supercars. We're in Spain. We wanted to fly to London. Trying to organize our jet, had to get a crew flown to Bucharest, from Bucharest to Spain, from Spain to London. It would cost, even though I owned the plane, more to do all that legwork of getting the plane to move around with all the crew, to get the plane to Spain to bring me to London, than it would be just to fly the plane, just to charter a private jet and get
from Spain to London.
So because I like driving everywhere, immediately we realized we don't need to own this.
You don't make sense.
Yeah, and it was a 16-person jet. If me and Andrew are flying to London, I'll get a 6-person jet if it's available. It's still enough space for 2 men. There's a couch. I don't care. It's okay.
And a few girls.
So we realized very quickly that the way we live our lives, we don't need a private jet. If you are a businessman and you are flying constantly, twice a day, 3 times a day, to all these different cities, say you're the CEO of a big multinational company, yes, you need a private jet. I don't. I'll go weeks without flying. So it didn't make any sense Sold it, never looked back. Don't want one. But I still fly on private jets. And obviously people will say, haha, that's rented. I'm like, this flight costs 50 grand just one way. Like, you don't make that in a year. Like, it's always people who are jealous or don't have the things that you have that come at you with stupid. I mean, there's still a conspiracy theory I rent my cars. I mean, my last name is stitched into the seats of the Bugatti.
Oh, I've
and
seen it,
Bugatti posted it on their official
Yep.
Instagram and tagged me. And they're like, rented cars.
How
Whatever.
How
Like,
did you feel when Bugatti removed that post?
I understand the position businesses have to take. You know, the funny thing is, I wouldn't associate with a human trafficker. Human trafficker? I've got a daughter. What? People who like kidnap people and sell them? Scum of the earth. If I met someone and said, oh yeah, he was in jail for human trafficking, he got convicted, I'd punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, why on earth would anyone want to associate with these people? And it's a very tricky situation now that they've labeled me as a human trafficker for trying to help friends out on TikTok allegedly and stealing the money, which obviously never happened. And that's all going to be proven, of course, in time. It's very weird when people like disassociate with me if they know me personally. And a few people have tried to distance themselves from me. I'm like, okay, fuck this person, because they know me. They know I'm not this. But if someone I don't know or a company doesn't want to associate with me or work with me because of the allegation, I'm like, yeah, I get it. They don't know I'm innocent. They don't know what the Romanian police force is like. They don't know what DCOP can be like in targeting people. They don't understand the corruption. They don't get it. They just think Tristan Tate, human trafficker. Okay, let's distance ourselves. Yeah, I get it. It's fine. And when I'm exonerated, I will never work with or these companies again. Bugatti just removed a post. That's fine. Bugatti are good. I'm still going to buy their cars. But there are various people in London who, I don't know, made items for me. I don't know, ties, etc. is one story. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But as soon as I got out of jail, disassociated with me. I was like, okay, well, that's weird. So I buy your stuff and I pay for it, but you don't want me saying that I buy from your company? Fine, I won't buy from your company. And when I'm exonerated, I'm sure all these people are going to come crawling back.
Yeah, probably will.
I'm one of the best customers for a lot of this stuff in the world, but I just won't associate with them as, I guess, not even revenge, because I don't think in a revenge kind of mindset, just principle. You don't want to associate with me if they falsely accuse me of something. Well, when everything's fine and I'm flying high again and my name's clear, I still have a clean criminal record even now, but when I have no accusations hanging over my head, then I won't talk to you then.
Yeah. Tristan, I think it's no secret that you're a bit of a ladies' man, right?
I've been known to.
I think me and the rest of the boys in here, the crew, want to know the secret to how you actually get a good woman. I feel like if anyone has the answer, it's you, Tristan Tate.
What do you define as a good woman? If you were to ask me, Tristan, how do you make a good coffee? I'd say 3 scoops black. But you might like cappuccinos. He might like pumpkin spice lattes or something gay. No offense, bro. Don't worry. My point is, what exactly defines a good woman? What do you want from her? What do you want to do with her? You want a woman who's fun? You want a woman who you're going to start a family with? You want a woman who's not going to gold dig or hustle you? I don't know what you want. So I can only give my version of the answer.
What do you look for in a woman then? What is a good woman to you?
Well, for lots of years of my life, over the years of my life, the definition has certainly changed. When I was 23, a good woman was any woman who was 10 out of 10. Like,
regardless of personality,
personality, overlooked all of it. Didn't really care, because at that point I was building my business. I was trying to kickbox. I wasn't interested in, having kids or a future or this kind of thing. But I think
it was more of a playboy.
Yeah, exactly. I was, and I've spent my whole life, I guess, meeting all sorts of various women, and that I think gives me the edge to be able to tell who's a good woman and who's not. But what I would say, the number one factor you want in a woman is honesty. Honesty in everybody is the most important thing that you can possibly look for. I'm going to give you an example. Okay. Let's say you meet 2 women. One of them has let me try and formulate this example in my head. Okay. One of them has a body count of 9. Okay. She's 25. That's not super high, but it's not low either. Okay, I've got a body count of 9, I'm 25, and this woman approaches you, and she talks to you, right? And you meet another girl, and she tells you her body count is 8, but it's actually 4. You're better off with the woman who actually has the body count of 9. Because if the other woman will lie about that, what else is she lying about? And also, how do you know it's really for? Once someone has displayed to you that they don't want to be honest, or that they're willing to package themselves as something that they're not in order to get in your good books, that is the ultimate red flag. Ultimate red flag above anything else. You know, if a girl says, hey, my body count's 4, I used to be a stripper when I was in university, I was trying to make money, blah, 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 and you take her at face value, then that's at least someone that you could associate with and you could talk to. Whereas if a girl's body count was really 1, and she used to be a stripper too, but never tells you, and you find out some other
Later
way.
on down the line.
Yeah, that's a worse woman. Honesty is what you need from women. And I think that the key to finding a good woman is having a good bullshit detector. And my bullshit detector is like none other. I cannot be lied to. So sometimes you like, I'll I don't know, have a new girlfriend, for example, and I'll be dating a new woman. And then people will say like, oh, she's only with you for the money. I'm like, brother, I'd know if she was. I'd know if she was with me for the money. I'd know if she was with me because I'm rich, because I meet women like that all the time who are trying to get with me because I'm rich. And I know she's different. So yeah, you just want to up your bullshit detector. You know, there are lots of ways you can catch people lying nowadays, but look at any sign of dishonesty or any sign of trying to come across as something that you're not as the ultimate red flag. Because if you discover one bad thing about her, she said her body count was 4, but you know, and you know who her exes were, for example. But then there's a 5th one. He said he used to date her, and she's like, okay, I lied. It's 5. It's not 5. It's 50. You just haven't found them all. You know, honesty
Still got more to unlock.
Honesty above everything else.
But at the same time, would you say, how do I word this right? A man's biggest downfall can also be a woman, in a sense that, say a man's trying to build his empire, and now a woman comes along and locks him down, and now he's not even bothered about bringing that, like building that empire. 100%. Would you say a woman could also play a big part in a man's success?
100%. But just like with, just like a kid or a woman or a certain amount of success, if that has the ability to put out your fire, then you're not built for it. You're not built for it. Because I've met women all across my journey and my ascension to where I am today who would have loved me to just stop working so much and hang out with them all the time and watch Netflix and maybe marry them. What's sad is, and I get called misogynistic all the time, so I'll say something quite misogynistic. I don't give a shit. What's sad is a woman will happily put out your fire, and the same type of woman that will put out your fire to make sure that you no longer work so much and you're not as ambitious sometimes doesn't realize that that's what she liked about you in the first place. Let's say I met a woman now. Let's say. She's obviously attracted to the fact that I'm super ambitious, that I train super hard, that I wake up at 7 every morning, that I'm constantly trying to learn something and better myself. Now I'm taking Russian lessons. But whatever it is, I'm constantly trying to improve who I am. Women will find that incredibly attractive and still get with me and try to put the fire out and try to stop me from doing those things. And you know what would happen if I became fat, stopped learning, stopped making so much money, became boring, just stayed at home with her all the time? She'd probably end up cheating on me, because that's just the nature of people. So, yeah, if you let that happen to you, it's your fault. There's nothing I can say to people who, you know, will meet a woman and quit the quest for greatness. Maybe your quest is just to be with your average chick and be an average man and have your average income and have your average family and let them work in the car washes. I'll drive past in my Bugatti. It's fine by me. and there's nothing you can do to drag these people up. I try my best to say things like this and let people listen to me. But, you know, when I get those super chats online, hey, man, I just broke up with my girl after 8 years. I haven't been working on myself because I was so comfortable with her, and now I'm 41. I'm like, bro, it's over.
Yeah, like, move on.
Your mistake.
Yeah.
It's over. Get your shit in gear, or don't send me your money on super chats. I don't need your $5. Like, do something else.
Just to say something stupid, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, crazy guys. You and Andrew are both like a icon when it comes to men finding their inspiration. People look up to you, both of you.
Thank you.
What does it mean for you to be that role model?
Like anything in life, whether it's becoming a father or, you know, losing your dad and having your mom to take care of, everything can be a source of inspiration. Everything can be used to either stoke that fire or put it out. The woman example you gave earlier, you can meet a woman who wants a good life and wants a good family with you, and you can think, I'm going to work twice as hard. And being the source of inspiration for young men has made me, I guess, focused more on not slipping up. Now I can't fail. I can't fail because I'm not letting myself down. If me and Andrew failed, if me and Andrew, I don't know, sank into depression and developed a drug habit and checked ourselves into rehab, the typical celebrity journey, because the pressure is real up here. I feel like I'd let so many people down. Not that that would ever cross my mind anyway. I'm a very mentally strong person, but it's just more responsibility. And I like the responsibility. It makes me smarter. It makes me train harder. It makes me work harder. So I appreciate all of my fans in that way because they're inspiring me. I can't let everybody down.
You got something to look out for, too.
Well, exactly. I've got an entire community of people who, you know, aspire to be like me. Imagine I let it all fall off. I gained 6 stone. And I was sitting around all day like, oh, I'm sad now. Oh, they tried to take all my money. Oh, they've said these mean things about me. I'm sad. Everyone leave me alone. So many people be like, nah, this is fake. This can't be Tristan Tate. And it never will be. Because I'll never let them down. Because I won't let myself down. Or my brother down. Or my mom. Or my daughter. Or anyone who relies on me. No one's getting let down. Not by me.
What's the biggest challenge you've had to face in your life? Could be anything. Not just women. Could be business. Could be from your younger days.
I'm trying to think. I've had several challenges in my life. At 23, I lost everything from working that insulated conservatory job to just before I started my streaming company. I was homeless for a while. I was sleeping on my friend's couch.
Really? What happened to the money?
What happened to the money? Well, I'd lost my job. That business went under because it was poorly managed. Andrew was still kickboxing. So yeah, I was sleeping on my friend's couch for a while. Andrew was sleeping at his girlfriend's house. So I've gone through periods of ups and downs, and I've had my setbacks. So whether it be that, my father passing, moving country when I was a kid to an entirely new country, an entirely new environment and educational system, being sent to prison. I've had all these sort of setbacks, but I like everything else. Like I said earlier, I find it as a source of fuel. I can't sit here and actually say, the question was like, what was your biggest setback, or what did you find the hardest? It's not hard. It's another fuel source of the fire and the inspiration that keeps pushing me forward. And I wouldn't be here if none of those things had happened. So I'm glad for all of them. Even what I'm going through now, whatever. It is what it is. In 2 years, I'm going to be happy I went through it. So I don't see them as setbacks.
You know, I'm not going to ask you so much about the Joe experience because I feel like many people have asked you that.
Everyone's asked me about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of repeat questions. But what I do want to ask is, at that point when it hit you like, oh my God, we're actually going to jail now, we don't know how long for, what was that feeling like? Because I'm sure at first, just like everyone else, people thought you were going to be in there for a couple of days, a week.
Yes.
2 weeks max.
Well, I thought I'd be in for 24 hours.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess the only shocking part was I assumed that the police were trying to do their job. And their job is to ascertain the truth, to try to punish criminals, and to try to stop crime. That's their job. Turns out what was being done was trying to put me in jail. Whatever the cost.
Yeah,
it was nothing to do with trying to stop crime, save people, help people. It was trying to put me in jail. And that resignation came after the first 24 hours in jail, which should have been it. The police should have said, okay, clearly bullshit, throw it away. When I got put in front of a judge, and the police had obviously told her, this is a very serious case, these guys are very dangerous people, and the judge said, okay, 30 days in jail. And I'm like, a month? And that's just it? Now I'm for a month in jail? The feeling was very much a realization that, wow, there are some truly evil people in this world. Truly evil. Because if you want to talk about human trafficking, what does that mean? Taking innocent people against their will and locking them away from their families or whatever for your own financial gain.
Yep.
Well, there are career people in this country, a few career people, who, for their own financial gain, for their own career prospects, are willing to sacrifice mine and Andrew's entire life, everything we've built, everything we've done, all the struggles I've been through, and throw us in jail so they can get a promotion, so they can get a few extra $1,000s a month and get the credit of, oh, look, I put them in jail. I think those people know I'm not guilty. In fact, they know I'm not guilty more than anyone else because they're the ones trying to build the case and they're failing. They know I'm not guilty. And I was like, wow, there are people in this world who are truly evil, who will separate fathers from their kids, sons from their mothers. I'm still separated from some of these people now because I can't leave this country for years on end for their own financial gain. That's human trafficking. That's truly sickening. And Yeah, I thought I had more faith in people in positions of authority.
I don't know if you can answer this, but do you feel let down by Romania?
No, because it's not Romania that's let me down. It's not Romania that let me down. I think that with the influence Andrew had, this could have happened. I'm not saying it would have happened, but it could have happened in any country in the world. Romania was a very bad country for it to happen in. Because in England, if they try to accuse you of a crime, they arrest you for 24 hours, and they can't hold you more than 24 hours. They let you go.
Yeah.
And then they build their case and try to
Yeah,
judge
then they'll
you.
get you when they've got everything.
Here, they can keep you in jail essentially forever if they like. You can just be stuck in jail forever.
Yeah, well, Andrew was saying on the last podcast we just done, he was just saying that UK might try and take over now with the whole case and everything.
Well, this is what I mean. It's an attack on Andrew. So how much of this am I going to blame Romania for? If the UK now starts saying, oh, well, you know, maybe he is a criminal. I haven't lived in the UK, neither has Andrew, for over a decade. What crime could I have committed there? What, you think I stole something from a shop? Like, what do you think I did when I was in England? But nope, the Metropolitan Police, which obviously have real problems to deal with, like, you know, the guy who threw acid in everyone's face and never got caught, and all the people who get stabbed in London. No, they want to go after me and Andrew? Well, good luck. And if you're a British taxpayer, you should be very, very upset at how they're spending your money, because they're not going to find evidence I've ever committed a crime, but they're just trying to pull you through the ringer. They're trying to demoralize me. And I think it's tragic. So no, I don't blame Romania, and I'm not mad at Romania. There are 3 people in Romania who have done this. There are 3 people who are in charge of all of this. That's it. Romanian people as a whole love me. Everywhere I walk into, every club, every bar, every restaurant, everywhere I go, people want photos with me, everyone's shaking my hand. You know, people with young kids will be like, take pictures with my kids. If people thought I trafficked humans, that would not happen. So the I guess, consensus of the Romanian people and how they think of me is very high. I certainly assisted this country in one way or another by living here, spending my money here, putting this place on the map in a lot of different circles where people didn't perhaps even know where Romania was.
Yeah.
Now it's well known.
Now people are coming into Bucharest.
Exactly, yeah, but because of myself and my brother. I mean, the world's biggest journalists, Tucker Carlson, Piers Morgan, Candace Owens, are flying here to conduct interviews, saying about how nice Romania is because of me. So I feel like I have not been betrayed by Romania. I feel the people in Romania who did this to me have betrayed their country. That's how I would phrase it.
Yeah. I was going to say, as well as that as well, it's like you're bringing all this financial gain to the economy, I suppose. Even the people, like your friendship circle coming in and out of the country, you're spending money in the country.
Yes.
So it's just getting circulated. If anything, you're benefiting them.
Well, I am. Yeah. And I don't commit any crimes here. I never have. So again, the people who did this to me have massively betrayed their country, because now people are going to watch this, of what happened to me. They're going to watch this saga, and they're going to, for better or for worse, think, oh, I can't go to Romania. They'll throw me in jail and set me up and nick my money. You know, there are some very prominent people, well-known millionaires and billionaires, who've made statements like, oh, I wouldn't go to Romania now. Not after what happened to the Tate brothers. So the people who've done this to me have betrayed their country. It's as simple as that. So, I'm not betrayed by Romania.
Yeah. So all charges dropped tomorrow, let's just say. Where are you going? Staying here or getting out?
I might stay here. I like Romania. This is the thing. And maybe it's principle. Maybe some people may call me stupid. But I will not be bullied or chased away from my home by a few rogue savages who want to damage my life to benefit themselves. The Romanian state and the Romanian people don't dislike me. Why would I let these 3 people chase me away from my home that I have built? I speak the language. I live here. My daughter's half Romanian. Well, this is her country. If she's Romanian, am I not Romanian? Is this not my country too? Do I not have a responsibility to this place? I like it here. So I'm a very hard person to bully. If I leave, it's not going to be because I'm running away from Romania. I mean, certainly I need to take a vacation. I haven't left this country since December 2022 when I was arrested. I have not left the country. So will I travel? Will I be on a plane if all charges are dropped? Sure. But will I relocate my home, relocate my life because of these people? No. If I move, I would have moved regardless. Maybe a new opportunity comes up. Maybe Saudi Arabia, which is taking off, has a great place for me to invest in and some things for me to do there. Maybe I'll be in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, but that would have happened regardless of the case. I do not get bullied, and I do not run away from things.
You mentioned that you were famous in Romania before, Andrew, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
How comes?
No real reason. Just I found myself in the paparazzi bullshit columns of all their newspapers, etc., for dating a few famous women and stuff here. So I was like, I just kind of got myself into that.
Yeah.
I don't even want to use the word before influencer. I guess they used to be called socialites, like someone who was just known for being known. I was always in the best places. I was, as I said, dating a few famous women and stuff here, famous TV presenters, actresses, singers, etc. So it was like, oh, Tristan Tate's doing this, Tristan Tate's doing that. So for a good year or so, I was famous here before I was famous anywhere else. This was the first place I experienced actually being famous.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for any real particular reason. Even back then, no one really knew what I did. I was just a guy who was around, and I was in certain circles. And that's it. It wasn't fame worth bragging about.
Yeah, no. I want to throw it back to business, Tristan.
Sure.
What's the business that you run day to day now?
Day to day right now, everybody knows, my brother and I host a online educational platform called The Real World. And it's a fantastic platform. You know, anyone can go check it out on university.com. I bought that domain as well.
Yep, he was telling us.
I mean, The Real World is a very, very time-consuming business to run. I mean, hundreds of thousands of students all across the world, you know, a bunch of different professors. Every day I have to check the course content. I have to make sure that people are learning. I have to make sure that people are, you know, benefiting from the program itself. I obviously have to do all the payroll, all the finances, etc. So that's what I spend most of my time on nowadays. And it's a full-time job. I mean, me and Andrew are constantly working.
What do you actually do on a day-to-day basis? So, like, for that business, what is it that you got to do?
I am on my laptop.
All the time.
Everything is managed. This is what I mean about the internet being a powerful tool. There are people my age who are on their laptop all day, every day, playing video games and watching porn. I'm on my laptop every day managing this business, and I'm making millions and millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. So, again, it's about the use of your time. And again, I do things that maybe don't benefit me massively financially, but things I like doing. I mean, I plan all these Rumble streams twice a week. I'm live for 1, 2, 3 hours online.
The emergency meetings.
Yeah, got to write the emergency meetings, got to plan the emergency meetings. Yep. You know, it's an amalgamation of throughout the day. I'll be like, oh, let's bring this up. Okay, well, let's say this about this. And we put these things together. So all day, every day, I guess I'm trying to spread the message and then manage the companies and manage the business as well.
These emergency meetings, how much do they actually affect the business?
I don't really know.
As in, like, do you see them as ways of grabbing people's attention and putting them into the real world?
Yes and no. Yes, emergency meetings make me more famous, and my message, I obviously spread that The Real World is a wonderful platform, but if it weren't for the emergency meetings, I probably wouldn't have got thrown in jail either. So it's, how do I really measure the impact of the emergency meetings? I measure them in the way that I get letters to my house, messages, handshakes, people come up to me in person, and they say, wow, Tristan, I watch you on the emergency meetings, I've made this positive change in my life, I've made that positive change in my life. That's how I define the success of emergency meetings. And that's why I'll never stop doing them. Because no one's ever said, hey, Tristan, I watched your emergency meeting and now I'm broken, fat, and lonely. No one has ever said that to me ever. So yeah, I gauge their success in the messages and the handshakes and the hugs I get from fans of mine who've had a positive change in their life from listening to me speak.
I want to bring something up, yeah, because it's from the emergency meeting as well. And I remember it was a clip that went viral and people were like, it's motivating, but then some other people were like, it makes no fucking sense at all.
Go ahead.
You said you go to sleep at 6 a.m. and wake up at 5:59.
Yeah.
Explain that one and the maths behind it.
Well, you know what? I made it up while I was talking. I made it up while I was talking on the emergency meeting, and that went super viral. People literally messaged me, hey, minus 1 minute sleep.
Yeah.
And I think, let me try to be more sensible in my approach to it now. And in fact, no, this is a very important question because I've recently implemented something in my life which proves my point. My point is, if I have things to do, I don't need sleep. So if you sleep 10 hours a day, 9 hours a day, 8 hours a day, which people say is the optimum amount, 8 hours of sleep a day, and people say, I don't have time to work out. My argument is always sleep 7 hours. Just sleep 7 hours. Wake up, do the hour of training.
Oh, yeah.
You might be a bit more tired, but then when you get in better shape, the training is going to take effect, and you'll find yourself with higher energy levels than you had before. So when I say minus 1 minute sleep, my point is if I have 24 hours and 1 minute of work to do in a day, I'll get it done. And I don't care if I sleep or if I don't. So very recently, I started taking Russian lessons 2 weeks ago.
As in the language?
Yes, to learn the Russian language. So I typically wake up around 8 o'clock every single morning. Mm-hmm. I go to bed around 2. I sleep maybe 6 hours a night. What I did was for these 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I scheduled my Russian lessons at 6:30 in the morning. Why? Not because I have that time, not because I like waking up at 6:15. Nobody likes waking up at 6:15. But because by the time I get up and my brain is engaged in this activity for an hour and a half of my lesson, I don't want to go back to bed. I'm already awake. So I'm learning Russian essentially for free. It's like free time that I've created just by telling my teacher to show up at 6:30. And I wake up at 6:15 miserable. Oh, I wish I could go back to sleep. But I get up because I have to, and it's done. The appointment's made, it's settled. And now, so I get 4.5 hours of Russian lessons per week. And how much extra time does it take me? Zero time. I've created it out of nothing by scheduling my appointments at unreasonable times, so I force myself to sleep less. So the whole minus 1 minute sleep thing was a joke I made, I guess, flippantly, but I apply that principle to my real life, and I'm doing it even now. And if I had something else important to do, say I wanted to learn fencing or tango dancing, I'd find a private teacher, and I tell him, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have Russian lessons. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, show up at 7. Cool, minus 1 hour of sleep every single day, and then I'm doing these things for free on time which I've created out of nowhere. And I find it a very efficient way of getting things done. So anyone you know who says they don't have time for anything, ask them how much they sleep. You need 4 or 5 hours. You do anything additional, especially when you're young, is a luxury. It really is. So cut back on your sleep and up your training or up your work or up your reading or up whatever it is you're trying to do. The time can be created by getting rid of sleep.
So that comes down to discipline, right?
Oh, 100%.
What other key traits would you say make someone or another man who's watching this right now, make them successful like how you are right now?
I think it's just how much you want it. I mean, the trick of booking the early Russian lessons, that's not discipline because I'm not setting myself a time to get up at 6:30. I'm actually committing wholeheartedly because this guy's going to turn up at my house and walk in with his Russian books and sit down. I'm going to be upstairs sleeping? No. Who is this guy? Don't want him walking around my house. I've got to be downstairs and I've got to be learning the lessons. So that's, I guess, a bit of a life hack because I'm scheduling it. But if you don't have such a strict schedule and you yourself need to get up at certain times because you want to get things done, let's take training. Training is something you could easily wake up at 6:30 and think, oh, let me just close my eyes. Let me just not train today. I think it just comes down to how bad you want it. And I don't have any magical spell to give people to make them want it as much as I wanted it. But I feel like most men want the same things. Most men want money. Why? Not all men want fast cars. Not all men want $55,000 lighters or expensive tailored suits. But, you know, money gives you the ability to take care of your family, to take care of your friends, can buy you the best health care. When I say money doesn't buy health, sure. Rich people and poor people can both get incurable brain cancer, and it can kill you. However, if you get a normal form of cancer or you need a surgery like I needed on my shoulder, and I can go to the same surgeon who did Conor McGregor's leg and Roger Federer's elbow to get the best quality healthcare, money does buy health, and rich people do live longer. So you need to just want it. And if you can't force yourself to do it, then I can't force you. It's very, very hard to make changes even to yourself. If you think, like I've thought many times in my life, I need to change this aspect of my life. I need to party less. I need to sleep less. I need to work more. I need to train more. I need to make more money. I need to spend more time with my daughter. Whatever it was in life, adjusting your lifestyle to make changes in yourself is difficult. Not everybody can do it. So if you understand how difficult it is to make changes to yourself, you have to understand it is impossible to make changes to somebody else. If somebody else really isn't going to do it and really doesn't want it, they can listen to my emergency meetings for the rest of their life, 24 hours and 1 minute a day, and it won't change what they actually do.
Yeah, it's like when you tell a smoker to quit smoking, but they're not going to do it until they want to help themselves.
Exactly.
It's just bad habits or something like that. They can only change according to when they want to do it.
Exactly.
When it works for them.
So I just give the positive message out there that anything is possible if you do the work. And if you don't want to, I don't give a shit. I don't know you, people at home. I don't. If you stay broke, it affects me zero. But please don't, for the sake of yourself. Like, it doesn't help me. But just don't do it. It sucks.
I'll ask this to Andrew and I'm going to ask it to you.
Anything you like.
Well, actually, firstly, there's two parts to this question. So you know how Andrew says, you know, the Matrix are attacking him, banning him, allegations, and then the third one is 3 strikes, you're out.
Yep.
Do you believe the same applies for you? Do you think the Matrix are attacking you in the same way?
I mean,
as aggressive as is?
Yes, but only because I am Andrew's brother. I'm Andrew's brother. We are the Tate brothers. We were the Tate brothers when we were broke. We were the Tate brothers when people in Luton wanted to beat us up and we were fighting people off together. We've always been the Tate brothers, and our struggle has always been exactly the same. I'd be offended if I was not targeted as well. When they said, well, they put you in jail, and I was like, oh, you're in jail because you're Andrew's brother. I'm like, good. He can't go to jail by himself. Like, screw it. Fuck it. We're the Tate brothers, and the Tate brothers are in jail. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to have it any other way. Yeah. So, if you want to try and kill Andrew, then you're going to have to kill me too. And it's going to be very difficult because I'm very hard to kill, and so is he. And that's the way it is. So will I be targeted? I don't think I say anything that outrageous that angers people that much in terms of the whole Matrix aspect of Andrew's message, but they will target me at the same time. And it's going to be what it's going to be. Like, it's going to be I'm ready for anything.
Yeah. And my point to that was, if it comes to the third point, where 3 strikes and somehow, some way, the bullets hit.
Yep.
And you're no longer around. What's the message you want people to live by once you're gone? And what's the impact you want to have upon people?
Well, in the event that I am killed, a video will go out. It's already been filmed and already been prepared. If anything bad happens to me, that will go out.
So you prepared like a what's the name for the video? They call it something, but basically a final video.
Yeah, because it's something I've thought about. Do I really think it's going to happen? Do I think they're going to shoot me? No. No, I don't, because there are bigger targets. There are people who upset the establishment much more than us. But I will say, because anything can happen to me, that for any of my fans, if you're watching this or watching my final message, if I ever do die, if anything does happen to me, I would say your success in life and what you want to create for yourself is not pinned on me. I, Tristan Tate, can't make anyone the man that they want to be. There's enough of my content out there. My overall message can be summed up in less than 20 minutes. You could take everything you've heard from me, and just because I'm gone, or just because anything happens to me, just because I don't know, I might lose both my arms and legs in a helicopter crash and not be the same Tristan Tate anymore. Your success isn't pinned to me. You can go out there and make it, and you can go out there and do it, regardless if I'm around or if I'm not. And I expect everybody who listened to me and everyone who's a fan of mine and everyone who considers himself as somebody who subscribes to my message to not let anything that happens to me, even if they send me to jail for a decade, derail you. Because just in the way that your failures don't affect me, your success isn't linked to me. So go out there and do it anyway. That's what I would say.
That's a beautiful message. I'm going to take questions from the audience watching. Any questions for Tristan Tate? Message to your younger self.
Message to my younger self. Most young people don't realize how rich they are. Money can't buy everything. And when I was 18, I was richer than I am today. In some ways, I still had my father, for example. So I had no money, but I could call my father anytime I liked and talk to him and shoot the shit and just talk about life. Maybe I wasn't looking for advice. He didn't have much money. He couldn't give me advice on making money. But, he was a very smart man. And regardless if the conversation was useful or not, I could have spent more time talking to him, and I didn't. You assume that the things that you have when you're young are going to be around forever. You assume you'll never die, your health will never fade, your parents aren't going to go. You assume all these things, and you live every day like every day is going to be the same. But if you're young, appreciate how wealthy you are. I mean, there are children in Palestine right now with no family at all dead. And they're in the world at 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, going to have to make it alone, with the help of some of the, my charity helps a lot of these kids out when possible. But yeah, if you've got both parents, a good home, food to eat, you're very lucky. Enjoy that wealth while it lasts, because you could make $1 billion. But I could almost guarantee that when you're 60, your parents aren't going to be around, and you'll trade everything you have just to speak to them again. So you're wealthier than you think. Your life is better than you think. Appreciate the things that you have before you lose them, because you will lose them. It's not a matter of if mom dies, if dad dies, if my grandparents die. Assuming nature goes the right way, it will happen. It's when. It's not if. So my message to my younger self would be, stay focused, keep doing what you're doing. Don't change a thing, but, instead of watching that movie, call your dad. Instead of watching that movie, call your mom. Take her out for dinner if you've got a spare 50 quid instead of getting drunk with your friends. Appreciate the things you have.
Your mother's still alive, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Since, everything's been going on, do you make it priority to stay in contact with your mum and, treat her in the best ways possible?
My mum is, and I say this all the time, You can't gold dig on me. There's no woman in the world who can get anything she wants out of me by just asking me for money or whatever. My mom is actually the opposite, because my mom doesn't want all the stuff I have. But she's like, okay, I'm coming to see you. Can you book me a flight? I book private jets anyway. Oh, Tristan, you shouldn't waste all that money. I spoil my mom. And that's a very good feeling. They say money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Doesn't matter about, people say, oh, I'd rather cry in a Lamborghini. No. Maybe the cars don't buy you happiness. And genuinely, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They make me pretty happy. But when your mom says, my mom had a heart attack in December, quite famously. Everyone heard that story, She's in Harley Street Medical Center at the best doctors in the best hospital. And you're like, thank God I can do that. Money does buy happiness. So, yeah, my mom's she's doing well now. And hopefully she'll be doing well for a very long time. But, yeah, I spoil her. I really do. And she deserves it. She was poor every day of her life until she was 55. She never had any money. Never had a nice bag, a first-class flight, nothing until she was 55 when I made money. So good. I hope she lives forever, but for every single day that she's around, I'm going to spoil her.
That's the way it should be. That's what everyone should do.
She deserves it.
100%. What, just on that point there, they didn't let you out of house arrest, Romania arrest,
Nope.
to go and see your mum.
One of the people, when I said a few evil people are doing this, one of them wrote a report and told the judge that I was lying about my mother's heart attack. And the judge said, okay, well, prosecutor says he was lying, so we can't let him go because he might just be trying to escape.
No, that's disgusting.
Escape what?
Yeah.
Zero evidence and some bullshit accusation. I'm not trying to escape this. I want a trial. Could someone give me a bloody trial? Yeah. How long has this been going on? Where's my trial? I'm waiting for the day. But yeah, to not let me go see my mom, again, there are some truly evil people in this world. And I believe if all the right medical reports, because it happened one day before I applied to travel, with all the right medical reports, I believe any judge in his right mind would have said, let this man go to England. But that judge, I hold no ill will against him because he was acting on the information of these evil people who betrayed their country, who have made their country look like some backwards nation that sets up rich people because of their greedy actions. The judge acted on that information and said, no, I'm not allowed to go. So that's down to him. And I told you, there are some very evil people in this world. And that's fine because evil people... God is the ultimate arbiter of justice. I'm not. I'm not looking for revenge on people. I'm not looking to punish people. The only revenge that I get on people comes through my success. Everyone who tries to hurt me has to watch me rise further and further and closer to the top for the rest of their life while they live and die in obscurity. That's my revenge. But I believe that God is the ultimate arbiter of justice. And the people who act with truly evil intentions in this world will be punished.
Live viewer just asked basically how your dad's always had a massive, massive influence on your life. What's the influence your mother's had in your life?
Just as important. Just as important. And my mother was not an international master of chess. She wasn't. She isn't. But irregardless of how poor I was, irregardless of, me and my family, my mother, my brother, my sister, and my mom lived in a homeless shelter for 2 years in Luton, while on the council house waiting list, essentially. Not a single time in my life did it really hit me how poor I was until I was older. Now I look back, I'm thinking, damn, I was poor. But it didn't ever hit me that hard because I was never hungry. I had 3 square meals a day. I always had clothes to wear. Didn't matter if they were my brother's first, but I had clothes, on my back, shoes on my feet. If something ripped or was broken, my school trousers, she'd know how to repair them. She was an extremely good mother. No matter how much money we had, I was always fed. I was always clothed. She always had time to take us to even karate lessons when we were very young. So if you think going to karate lessons on a Sunday at some bullshit school hall, and my mother insisted we get up, insisted she take us, what kind of impact did that have to my brother becoming a world champion kickboxer, me becoming a European champion kickboxer? Probably an extremely, extremely important one. So yeah, my mother's influence was just as important as my father. And I think every parent needs, I'm going to say something controversial here, needs a man and a woman in their life to teach them very different things. I'm not against gay adoption, so it might get you in trouble. I'm not against gay adoption for the reason some people are. Some people will say things which I don't necessarily subscribe to and say, oh, well, gays are going to do something bad to the kid. I don't buy into that. That's not why I'm against gay adoption. I'm against gay adoption and lesbian adoption for one reason and one reason only. And you can shoot me and call me a bigot if you like. But I believe that every young man needs a father in his life to teach him how to be a man, and he needs a mother in his life to teach him how to respect a woman and what a good woman is. And I believe every little girl in the world needs a mother to teach her how to be a woman and a father to teach her the expectations of how a man should respect her and how a man should treat her. I believe every single child needs the female and the male influence. And I don't believe a single mother or a single father or two fathers or two mothers or 10 fathers and 10 mothers could ever do that. I think every child needs a father and a mother. And my mother's influence in my life was extremely important. I don't try to stay up to date with pop culture. And this is the scary thing. When I comment on the things that go on in the world, I'll give you an example. So now, if you're watching this podcast in years to come, this is a couple days after the Super Bowl happened. Didn't watch it, don't care. Don't care and don't know who Iced Spice is. Don't know, don't care. But there's a clip of her going viral on Twitter of when the jumbo screen shows her and she starts making little satanic hand motions. And what's scary is this. I don't want to know who that is. I don't want to know about her satanic hand symbols. I don't want to know any of this. And I accidentally learn. That means that in some way and in some form, this content is being pushed down my throat. And it's being pushed into my face. Who else's face is it being pushed into? The kids, the teenagers, the young people who should be concentrating on better things. They're all going to be at school being like, hey, did you see Iced Spice's satanic hand symbols? Who the fuck cares? Not me. So the fact that I'm even talking about this means I've been forced to know this somehow. Didn't watch the Super Bowl, don't care, not interested in who this person is.
But they're trying to influence the other generation.
Exactly. If I'm influenced, we're all influenced to one point or another. Because I'd rather sit there and read a book or play cards with my brother than ingest any of this crap. And I know all about it anyway. So I don't try to keep up to date with pop culture. And I comment on it because I understand that everyone else knows this happened and everyone else knows this is a thing because me, who tries to stay as distant as possible, knows it happened. So it's my duty to bring it up in the emergency meetings, in the cigar nights, in the podcasts I do, speaking to people like yourself, and let people know to just, you've seen it, you know what happened. Don't talk about it at school. Talk about something important. Talk about how you're going to make money. Don't let it poison your mind. And that's how I stay up to date. I try to avoid it.
Best way to do it. Best way to do it.
Can't help it.
Josh, question? Potential future investments, yeah.
I mean, investments. Right now, it's way past the point of investments to make money. It's way past the point of, I can buy this, and in 5 years, I can sell it for X. I want to buy an Aston Martin DB5.
DB5, really?
Yeah, I want to buy an Aston Martin DB5 because there are very few left in the world, and I'm going to use mine to drive everywhere and probably devalue it because I don't care, but I like it. And I probably want to buy some original artworks. I want to get an original Picasso just because it's a flex. Can I appreciate art as much as most people? Probably not. But I want these things because they're cool.
This same ethos this is the reason why you bought a Lada.
The Lada, I bought just because I like it. I think it's a cool object.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, cool things, yeah.
Cost me nothing. I've smoked cigars that cost more than that Lada.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a very cool object and I liked it, so I'm gonna have it. And now that's the point that I'm at. It's not about investment and it's not about thinking about the future value of things. I want some original Picassos if I can get hold of them, $1-2 million. I want some massive diamonds on display cases and stuff in my house. That's not about investment. I just want to collect cool things because I like them. And if there's a story behind them, I was a very famous story. I once tried to buy Napoleon's hat. Do you know this?
No, I didn't know this, no.
There was an auction. And it made me realize I think some auctions are rigged. There was a hat that Napoleon wore at the Battle of Austerlitz, and I was bidding on it on an online auction against the French Museum one by coincidence. They didn't want me to have the hat. They wanted the French Museum to have the hat. And I believe the auction was rigged, but I just thought it was a very cool thing to have. So I'm going to buy more things like that. But my cousin Luke is half French. I was going to wear the hat and walk around the house saying, I'm your emperor, make me coffee. Like, I wasn't going to use it for anything good. Yeah. I just wanted it. So I'm going to collect a lot of cool things. And over the next 10 years, you're going to see, if you follow me on social media, some of the cool things I've collected. But lots of things are on my radar. But they are investments. And they may go up in value. And they may make me money. But that's not the reason I buy any of these things.
Makes sense.
One question, this is going to be quite a long question. But basically, I saw a clip of Sneeko, the streamer. He was basically talking online about how you guys have become so famous now that you're no longer celebrities, you're no longer public figures. You've now moved into almost like a political figure. is where you moved into. So
Yes.
you can't kill the Pope without making noise. You can't kill a president without making noise. I feel like even though you guys are at danger in a sense, do you feel like that you're too big now? You've almost like moved into this. It's almost made you safer as you grow and you get bigger. That it almost puts you in a safer place. It's almost like you're untouchable.
Well, yes, and to give you a perfect example, if you take some, like you're a successful young man, you are. Now that the weapon has been used on me, it probably wouldn't work as well. But let's say instead of me, they said, all the team of the CEO Cast podcast are kidnappers who human traffic people, and they could probably shut you down.
Yeah,
they could have shut you down, and they could have made you lose relevance. I think the it's called saint status of me and Andrew, where killing them only makes them martyrs, is very clear in the way that the attack has not worked on me, canceling me, calling me a criminal. The fact that it's made me bigger and louder is an adage to the old saying. Have you ever heard the saying, when you cut out a man's tongue, you're not proving him wrong, you're only showing the world that you fear what he has to say? Have you ever heard that?
Yep.
I feel like me and Andrew are now at that point.
That point, yeah.
So they could call me whatever they like. If you don't provide hard evidence and show people that I am these things, it's not going to work, and it's just going to further galvanize my fan base. So, yeah, I do believe that we are at that point. I do believe that Sneeko was correct in that observation, because just look at how this attack has played out. Am I less famous? Am I poorer? What negative effect has this had on me? Loads in my personal life. But in terms of my message and who's listening to me, how many of my fans have said, well, better stop listening to him. He obviously kidnaps people. Why would a man with my net worth and the fact that obviously lots of women adore me, why would I kidnap anyone ever?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. Now Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWE, he's a human trafficker now, allegedly. I mean, he's worth $2.9 billion. Has no problem getting women, is in great shape for his age. Yeah, he was making extra money selling his employees' pussy on the side. Like, do I really believe that? Really? The answer is no.
No.
Because then again, he's too big to shut up as well. He revolutionized sports entertainment. Every single one of us grew up watching his shows and his productions. We know all of his wrestlers. Back in my days, it was The Rock and Chris Benoit with the big rivalry, but it changes throughout the years.
Yeah, I grew up with Shawn Michaels, John Cena, that sort of era.
Exactly. And the people older than me grew up with the Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant,
Yeah.
etc. And this was all Vince McMahon.
Yep.
So do I believe after doing all of that, he also human trafficked somebody? I don't believe it. And I will put that out in public right now. I've never met Vince. I don't know him. I don't believe it. Russell Brand. Do I believe that now that he's talking out against the war in Ukraine, America's funding for Israel, the COVID virus and the response to the alleged pandemic, do I believe that after saying these things, suddenly it's now time for people he raped 15 years ago to come forward because they just got so brave? Or do I believe it's an attack? I believe it's an attack, and I do not believe Russell Brand is a criminal. And yeah, I guess in that way, me and Andrew are very well positioned because our fans see through it. And I'm not a fan of Vince McMahon or Russell Brand. I respect them both, obviously, for various reasons, but I don't know either of them.
But you don't need to know them to know that they're being attacked.
Well, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Russell Brand was perhaps probably the most famous Englishman ever 12, 13 years ago. Probably the most famous English celebrity. If you were to say England, people were to say Russell Brand. When I was younger, anyway.
Yeah.
Now he's more of a streamer and a newscaster than he's an actor. But do I believe that a man that popular and that famous and that attractive to women was forcing himself on people? It could be, but I don't believe it because the timing is off. The timing that now he's saying all the wrong things.
And it's only coming to light now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, we're in a very good position. We're in a very good position, and I'd like to think none of my fans believe any of the lies they're going to say about me now. And in the future, there'll be more lies. Tristan Tate is a bank robber or a fraudster or a murderer. I don't know what they're going to say, but it's simply not true, whatever you hear about me.
Yeah.
One last question.
Go on.
What number would you say you need to be financially free now, or even just to potentially escape the matrix? Or what is that number now?
Yeah. What is the number that escapes the matrix? Yeah.
You don't buy a yacht or something like that. You said you can just constantly rent it.
That's a very tricky question because it all depends on what financial freedom is. You could make zero money if you had enough to set yourself up properly. Let's say you bought some land in Siberia and built a giant farm, grew your own food, had chickens, had pigs, had cows, had your house, had your wife, had your kids. You have the milk, you have the eggs, you have the
You've got
crops.
all your supplies.
You don't need to earn lots of money to stay free. So it all depends on what you define as freedom. I define freedom as the ability to do what you want within this capitalist society, so to live very well. I think you need, and it's not about net worth, it's about income. You could be worth $10 million. There are some people worth more money than me and Andrew. There are no doubt people worth $3, $4, $5 billion who have less spending money than me because I have an income. Every month I make a certain amount of money. And I would say every month you need to be making to be able to say what you want, to not fear cancellation, to not fear, I guess, other people. I would say $100,000 a month is a very good amount. $1.2 million a year. If you're netting that, you are free and you're in the top 0.1% of people on the planet. You're making a lot of money. You can live a very happy life and a very quiet life and a very private life, hopefully without being famous, because then you become a target. I think $100,000 a month is an extremely successful person.
Came here on Ryanair.
Yeah.
What tips can you give us to get home on private?
Yeah. So we came here on Ryanair. What's the tips you can give us to go home private?
To go home private? Oh, it's very simple. There's one very easy hack to fly on private jets. So what you do is you call a private jet company, you give them $35,000, and then they'll have a jet waiting for you.
That's the hack right there.
So the answer is there are no shortcuts to anything. There are no shortcuts. It's like if you're driving a Toyota, what tips can I give to one day have a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
You go to the Lamborghini dealership, you give them $420,000,
Go buy one,
and they'll give you the car.
Yeah.
Like there's no life hacks. The hack to everything, unfortunately, is hard work, dedication, applying yourself, and that's it. There's literally no shortcuts in this life.
Yes,
People think they're going to win the lottery. Someone wins, but basically no one ever wins it. There's no way around it. There's no way out of this system. The way that the financial system is run, who operates it, the way the banks work, the way that everyone's, I guess, in a way educated to stay poor, to stay in their lane. Don't listen to the propaganda. Try to work on yourself. But that's the only way to get these things. It's the only way.
Yeah. Tristan, I appreciate your time coming on the podcast.
problem at all.
Hopefully we'll do a part 2 in the future.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
It has. And where can people find you on socials?
I'm only on X and Rumble. Tate Speech on Rumble.
You're not on Instagram anymore?
Nope. There are lots of fan accounts on Instagram. There are lots of accounts that people think are me.
Yeah.
I am a principled man. I've been banned. I refuse to make a new page.
Wait, hold on. This account here.
Don't say its name because I don't want to negatively affect him. But that account with all the millions of followers, no, it's not me.
Is it not?
Nope.
I thought the whole time it was you.
Nope. I have an Instagram profile with 1 follower and that's it. 1 follower, 1
That's
following.
what I'm looking at.
Yep, that's not me. I don't have Instagram.
Oh, shit. I thought it was you the whole time.
Yep, so you can find me on X at Tate the Talisman.
Yep.
That's where you could find my real opinions. If you contact me there, it is actually me. Anyone else on the internet who messages you, hey, I'm Tristan Tate.
It's not.
Give me money. Give it. Don't. If you fall for those scams, then you're dumber than you deserve to fall for them. And credit to the scammers.
You need to stay in the matrix if that's the case.
But there are obviously thousands of accounts that share my content, that share links to platforms like the Real World. But inside of the Real World, inside of the War Room, people can contact me directly and speak to me there as well.
So yes, Tristan, thank you very much for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
If everyone wants to watch the next one, make sure you subscribe, stay tuned, and stay locked in to the emergency meeting over on Rumble with Tristan and Andrew. Peace. Lovely. Appreciate your time.
Good podcast.
I appreciate your time, bro.
That's very good. Lots of stuff I haven't said anymore else as well.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
I like the little sales thing. That was just lifted up top of my head as well.
Yeah, that was off the top of my head. You put me on the spot there. Jesus, I haven't made a sales pitch in 9 years.